the bike, aka bicycle, also known as the two-wheel freedom fighter. I don't know about you, but having a bike as a kid, growing up in the 70s and 80s, hell, probably maybe kids in the 90s, it was freedom. And I figured I'd just talk about bicycles for a little while. I'm not going to sit here and just talk about, different brands and everything, but I'll throw some pictures up so you can look at them. But we talk about a lot of stuff from the childhood, from the 70s and 80s here on this channel, and it's hard to do a video series, a YouTube channel talking about that time period while bringing up bicycles, because it was our first taste of freedom. I don't know if kids have that taste today. I guess when they turn 16 and get their driver's license, start driving a car, and of course that was a little bit of freedom there also. But the bike lets you expand outside your, not really outside your neighborhood, outside your comfort zone maybe. Maybe before you had your bike, maybe went to your neighbor's house, maybe a kid up the road, walking distance. With the bike, you were all over that neighborhood, into the woods maybe, and testing your skills, showing off, popping wheelies, jumping ramps. It was a lot of fun. Now I can remember not being able to ride a bicycle, trying to learn, could never figure it out. Well, of course I could ride one with training wheels, but no one wanted to get caught riding a bicycle with training wheels. Now, you could do that when you're little, maybe in your yard, but I saw some other kids that were probably about a year younger than me. They had the BMX, the nice bikes. My brother had a very cool chopper bike in the 70s. I couldn't ride it. Well, finally, I just had to, one of the things you just have to teach yourself. I had a school by my house that had a little hill on it. I would go up there and coast down that hill until I learned to ride that bike. Then it seemed like I didn't stop. I rode that bike all over the neighborhood growing up. Ventured out farther than my parents probably even thought I would venture out. If they knew I did, they would probably be upset about it. We had some woods behind our house, and with the boys in their neighborhood, we killed the woods and made tracks. You rode them so much that it just made its own path. You didn't have to take a weed whacker or anything. You just started riding up and down, making your own trails. And like I said, it was freedom. Now, of course, being little, I had some little kid bikes, but they wasn't as fun as those in the 80s. I really wanted one of those that had I think they call them mag wheels. They were plastic spokes, maybe. Finally got one and had it for about 2 days. Got it for my birthday. Rode it to school on Monday. My mom told me not to because we had a dentist appointment after school. I said, well, I'll lock it up with one of those heavy chains. Came back and it was gone. Chain and everything. So disappointed. And then they had another bike. I think Huffy made it. I'll throw a picture up if I can find it. It was more like a cover that went over the tire, over the spoke area. Always wanted that. I can remember seeing that in magazines, maybe at stores. Saw it somewhere. Me and my friends really wanted it. No one in there but ever had it. It was badass, but we wanted it. That's for sure. But as I was talking about freedom with bikes, man, it was. We would go out, 3 or 4 of us, go out in the morning, maybe watch a few Saturday morning cartoons first, then head out, 8, 9 o'clock, throw a backpack on your back sometime with a little food in it. But you would go up the road, grab your friend, hey, let's head over to Mikey's house. Let's go to Nick's house, right on down the street, go over there. And you had no cell phone, you didn't know who was home. You didn't know who had to go to Sunday school or whatever, so you ride all the way over to a friend's house. He wasn't big there. No big deal. It's not like you walked there. There was times when I had to walk to a friend's house that was far away, and I was like, I walked all the way out here for nothing. But that really didn't bother you back then either. You just put on if you was lucky, your Walkman and listen to some music on the way back. A lot of times that didn't matter either. You were just walking and having fun. But the bike made it a lot more fun because you were like a small little bike gang. Man, and I don't know if girls had that adventure with bikes. Any girls watching this video, let me know. I don't remember much girls in the neighborhood with bikes. If you always, it seems like for us anyway, when there was a girl in the neighborhood that rode a bike, she was cool. She was extra cool. Now, I'm not talking about a 10-speed. We'll talk about that in a minute. But a girl that rode like a dirt bike, BMX, or something to get around in, because I don't remember that. It's odd. I know girls had bikes. I know boys had a bar on their bike. The one with the balls has the one with the bar, and there's But I don't remember girls going out, at least in my neighborhood. You know, you didn't see a group of girls. You didn't see 4 or 5 girls on their bikes riding far out and everything. But again, maybe it was just my neighborhood. But the bike, you know, it was a representing yourself. You had to show yourself. You had to have a cool bike. You couldn't get a dorky bike. Again, the bike aged with you. You got a little, like I said, training wheel bike, something like that, something little, something dorky. It really didn't matter what it looked like. Even probably started with a tricycle. Or remember that metal one? That was that metal tricycle you could stand on the back of? Probably started with that. Then you wanted to get a little bit more, 13, 12, 13. You wanted something to express the cool side of you, especially because by then it was the 80s. And you really wanted to show that you were rad or radical. Either one was pretty cool to show people. And you had to build ramps. I talked about that. Get a piece of plywood, a cinder block, 1 or 2. Hell, sometimes your friend would lay down and hold the board for you. And you would try to jump. Mark where you land. You would always mark, hey, this is where my back tire land. That's where it counts. See if you can out jump that. And we would try it. Fall off the bike. We wouldn't care. I can remember my brother used to tie a rope around his waist and the other end of the rope around a tree. Had it measured just right, because right when he got by the creek, it would pull him off the bike. The bike would go sailing, pull him off. I was never brave enough to try that, but he used to do it. I don't know if he thought it made him look cool. A lot of us made us think it looked crazy, but he used to do that. I can remember I bought a gadget for my bike. You could buy little gadgets. And I bought a speedometer. Showed how fast I was going. And we had this little area we called it Echo Hill, because you could stand on top of it and yell out and you could hear an echo at the top of the hill. When down below, we would call it Echo Valley, because we would go down there. Anyway, you know why? At the end of the hill was the valley. But I can remember getting to the top of that hill. That hill was a huge hill, so normally you wasn't riding up that hill. You were pushing. We kind of dreaded when we went to that side of the neighborhood, because we knew 90% of the time you're not gutting up the hill. That hill is steep. So you can go about halfway, you're going to push it. But coming down, I can remember I got that speedometer, and I don't know if it was right or anything. It was bought at Rose's, really cheap. Said I hit 60 miles an hour, and I couldn't believe it. Probably really wasn't going that fast, but hey, it was a big hill. Who knows? But it was scary going down that hill, because you never knew. I mean, it could be a pothole. The car could come while you're flying down that hill. Always worried if the brakes went out. And I don't know about you. Something you always had to do to the bikes is take the chain guard off. Remember the chain guard? No. No one was having that. It almost seemed like the better the bike was, the better. And what about the handbrakes? For a long time, I didn't want handbrakes. I started learning to ride a bike, have my normal foot brake. Just push it from the back of the brake, it'll stop. Push it pretty hard, slide, make some sick marks on the road. Didn't you like that? Make those marks, put a big skid mark in the road. Oh, it lasts for a couple days. You could show people. No one really cared, but you did. You bragged about it. But then I got handbrakes, and I thought I would never do that. Cause I don't know, it always scared me. The handbrake scared me. I think because I had a friend, and he showed me where if you do the handbrake, just the front brake, it's going to flip you over. You had to do them both at the same time. Which normally I would just do the back one unless I was really had to stop. One time I hit a mailbox and almost killed myself, so I really had to stop there. But it was just, like I said, the bear of the bike. Sure, we could got stuff to put. I had a friend that put little things on his spokes. This was 70s, 80s. We didn't put playing cards on our bikes, on our spokes or whatever. That's what they did back in like the 50s and the 60s. But we would put, we put a little bit. And I don't remember like tricking out a bike, putting stickers on it. Maybe some of you did. I know you go to the store and buy like a reflector up on the back of it. That was nerdy. You never really did that. I did have, I just thought about this. I did have blinker lights. Again, this was about 11 or 12. Once you got about 13, you had to take all that crap off. The speedometer, the blinker light. I know a guy that had a horn hooked to his. A horn. I guess that's not that unusual now I think about it. I see them. Hey, I can hear a lot of people have horns, but most of them just go, ah, 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 ah. But this guy had a horn that would play with like, he would do just like that right there, like the Duke Boys. Had like 10 different things. It wasn't like a normal squeeze horn, like a clown sound. But like I said, you want to take that off. You didn't want to have a banana seat anymore once you got a little older. Then you got a little older before you started driving, 14, 15, where you got that 10 speed. I was against the 10 speed too for a long time. I said, no, I want something I can take in the woods. I want something I can, well, By the time I started talking to girls that lived, a few miles away and I wasn't driving yet, 10 speed came in handy. And with that 10 speed, I could now get up that big Echo Hill. I could get to the top of it, no problem. So, to me, 10 speeds, they always looked a little weird. I didn't like the handles. That was never as cool. You wasn't popping wheelies. You wasn't jumping ramps. But those first bikes, those really first like BMX, dirt bikes, Huffy, early, like I said, 11 to 13, man, wasn't that freedom? You would just go. No cell phone. Nobody could find you. Nobody knew where you were. Your other friends would go on their bikes try to find you. Hey, I wonder where Joe and Bob went today. Who knows? I can remember just exploring my neighborhood, going through the woods, coming out the other side, and it felt like you was on another side of the world. You're like, where am I? I've never seen this part of the world. It was crazy. I loved it. It's a freedom you don't get today. Sure, you got a car today, and you can go about anywhere you want to in that, but it's just not the same as that bike. That bike was your buddy. Let's be honest. That bike was your best friend. I know it sounds corny, stupid to say, but in a way, that bike was your best friend. That bike was there for you. If you needed to get the hell out of Dodge because some bully was coming, that bike was going to get you out of there. If you needed to get over to some girl's house because you found out her cousin was in town and you had the hots for her because she was so cute with those pigtails, that bike got you there. If you needed to look cool for that girl, the bike would help that with popping wheelies, jumping ramps, and what else. But again, I just wanted to talk about the bike. What a great thing back to have. I don't see kids riding bikes today. When I was young, that was it. You go outside, there'd be kids riding bikes. You had to. Your mom ain't gonna take you stuff. Your mom wouldn't put you in the van, take you here and there, take you to and fro or whatever they call it. No, you needed your bike. You didn't want your mom to take you anywhere. You didn't want your mom to say, "Oh, where are you gonna be over at Leonard's house?" No, you could say, "I'm going out." And your mom didn't really ask where you're going. She wasn't worried about stranger danger or anything. Hey, if you got your little booty hole touched, that was just part of growing up back then, I guess. But it's not saying it's a good thing. There's probably some good and bad things of not having a bike anymore. But you just miss it. You just missed it. And let's be honest, you didn't really take care of your bike. When you first got it, you took care of it. You probably washed it. Yeah, I remember a kid that used to wash his bike. And every once in a while, you might mess around and put the chain back on it. You didn't really know what you were doing. But you would take that chain guard off, of course. I talked about that. You would take off that part of the bar that would go with the bar, like a little foam piece. Take that off. And one thing you would take off was your kickstand. I remember my friends would all take the kickstand off. I thought they were crazy. Then I started taking it off because you didn't want to use a kickstand. That's a nerd. That was a dork. You don't put your kickstand up. Just throw that bike down. Get to where you're going. Boom, that bike falls right there in the grass in somebody's yard. Then you get out, pick it back up, going down to the next place. I don't know about you, but I miss riding the bike. I miss that. Now, some of you may have had a basket on the front of your bike. If you do, I feel so sorry for you. No one wants a basket on their bike. Maybe that's what girls had. Again, I don't remember girls riding really dirt bikes and stuff. I can remember, one girl I knew would borrow mine and try to jump ramps. Never as good as the boys, but hey, maybe she got better. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about bikes, see what you thought, see what kind of bike you had, and all that. Would you have BMX, Huffy? Did you have a go-to brand? And how often did you get a new bike? Is it something you got once a year? Was it something you got maybe once? Maybe you just got that dirt bike thing, for that time period when you was in your early teens and traded up for a I almost said a transformer. Traded it up for a 10-speed later. Maybe I remember having just a few bikes. The bikes would last. Usually a bike would last you 9 out of 10 times. Somebody would steal it. That's usually what would happen. I did have a guy in the neighborhood that didn't really like us riding the bikes through his yard. He would yell at us, and then our bikes would get thrown in the creek. I don't know if he came to each one of our house and got our bikes and threw them in the creek, but I don't know what happened there. He really didn't like people riding through his yard, but when we rode through his yard, it cut about 5 minutes off of our travel time. So you had to sneak on by his house right there. He had a little ramp too that was like a little dirt hill that was fun to jump. And he put a little invisible wire, not really, like a little fishing line right there. So when we tried to jump it, we'd wreck. He probably go to jail for doing that today because a lot of us got hurt doing that. But didn't break any bones or nothing. But man, Remember having a wreck on your bike? Whew. You felt that wreck for days. But you never really got hurt. Now, I'm probably broke. I know some kids may have broke their arm, but you know, it was just a great time period to have that bike. I talk about toys a lot, but hey, the bike, like I said, that's your first. A lot of people say their first love is their car. But my first love, and I bet a lot of you, first love was that bike you had around 12 years old. Well, let me know in the comments below about the bike you had.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.